Demand for data center services is rising and rising, from wholesale to retail colo, private to public cloud, and disaster recovery. At the same time, the market for data center services is becoming more competitive. This increase in both demand and supply is playing out in a way we believe that will ultimately benefit customers. Because what's happening is that data center efficiency and service flexibility are becoming an imperative. Flexibility and efficiency can of course mean a few different things. But at the broadest level, efficiency is driven by the maximum utilization of key resources, the most significant of which is power. However, most data centers, the vast majority, underutilize power. It's a widespread problem. We surveyed more than 1,000 enterprises and found that their average data center power utilization was just over half, 56%. It's a leading cause of inefficiency. For service providers, power provisioning can be particularly problematic because they rely on the customer to forecast their future power needs. This is often based on historical trends, or worse, on faceplate values for their equipment. Most service providers have to over-provision power on a just-in-case basis. This causes a massive underutilization of infrastructure. For wholesale customers, power consumption is metered, which often gives them a false impression that they're only paying for what they're using. In reality, the metered power bill is only a small percentage of what they're paying to their provider each month. The bigger part of their bill is the power capacity rent. This rent is typically charged at $130 per kilowatt or higher and is based on a ramp schedule that the customer does have some role in defining. The problem is when the customer fails to use the power they've committed to in this ramp schedule. They don't get a refund. If they don't wind up using as much as they've contracted for, they still have to pay for it. And this is where the customer is most financially at risk. Based on our research, this nearly 45% of underutilized power amounts to thousands, if not millions, of wasted capital every month. Of course, over-provisioning on power also means over-provisioning on cooling and floor space. So there's this cascading effect of inefficiency. Now, the way to address this problem fundamentally is by more closely aligning the supply of facility resources, power, cooling, and space by service providers to actual demand from customers. For greatest efficiency, this needs to happen at the design stage. Firstly, the data center itself needs to be designed and built in phases, meaning the entire facility is not built out day one, and that new capacity can be added incrementally in modules in line with demand. For service providers, this means they don't need to invest more capital than's required to accommodate the first year or two of demand. Now, inside the data center, power and cooling systems should also be designed from the outset to be efficient. Power and cooling infrastructure account for a large portion of initial CapEx. And so ripping and replacing old, inefficient gear in an existing older facility is not economically feasible. So in this way, new data centers that are kitted out with efficient cooling and power systems from the outset have a significant advantage. Obviously, service provider customers should benefit from modular designs and efficient facilities equipment by way of lower costs. For service providers that use DSIM software, there's no reason to require a large ramp-up power commitment. They have trending data and predictive analysis to be able to balance customers' current and future needs with the supply of power and indeed cooling and space. So couple this with a data center that can be scaled in small, as-needed increments, then it can be a powerful proposition. The service provider has significantly reduced its risk of making short and long-term commitments to power based on the unknown. And in turn, they don't have to ask their customers to do the same. All of this is a big change to the status quo, and we believe it's a compelling one. When data centers are designed, built, kitted out, and managed from the get-go, with efficiency and flexibility as a goal, this can result in huge cost savings, both for the service provider and their customers. We view these approaches, particularly when used in combination, as having the potential to transform the role of providers from being ping, power and pipes to one of being a data center capacity partner, one that can supply people with what they need, when they need it, and at a price and service level that they probably couldn't match in their own or in another facility.